What's going on, beautiful people of YouTube? Bart here with Tully Television, and I want to thank all of you for stopping by, liking, commenting, sharing, and happy Mother's Day to all you beautiful mothers out there, whether you're grandma, stepma, just regular old ma that us kids forget about, and like that you guys are just a robot, right? I want to wish you all a happy Mother's Day today, and what we're going to be doing here is a retro blast. We haven't done one of those in a while here on the channel, and we're going to be going over the movie Stepmom. Came out on December 25th, 1998, and this movie stars Ed Harris, Susan Sarandon, Julia Roberts, Jenna Malone as the daughter Ann Harris, Liam Atkin as the son Ben Harris, the younger brother. And let's get into this, okay? Because I think that this movie definitely belongs on the list here of movies you should catch. I myself grew up in a single parent household with my mother, and as I got older and she started dating other people, um, I always had respect for the people she dated for the most part. Um, other, I'm not going to get into some of the negative things with certain people she was with, but um, some of these people that she was with in over my life as a young child and teenage years. Uh, always had respect in a way for most of these men, but I also realized that the need for wanting to find a male role model in my life by the time I hit early teenage years was gone, and um, so I understand the plight of this movie in some ways, even though the roles are a little bit more reversed, as opposed to my mom sticking around. It would have been my dad sticking around and marrying someone else or what have you, right? But essentially, this deals with the family dynamic, and this movie came out um, when it came out. It was one of the first movies that would show the stepmom not necessarily being like the evil stepmother that you would find in Snow White or these other movies that only it's never got that like every time the dad marries it's a rotten woman every time, like he loses his sense of judging people and what the kids and the now wife stepmom never interact with each other. I never got that stuff in these type of situations. You would think that there was more interaction beforehand to kind of tell whether the uh, people were going to get along or not. You know what I mean? And in the form of a child's mind, again, anyone who's trying to tell them something that's not their mother or father, they fight their mother and father. So forget about someone they're not related to, right? So it's really hard to deal with that in a family dynamic, especially when there's no real connection by that newer person coming in, right? And that's where the initial clash was happening because essentially the Julia Roberts character and the Susan Sarandon character weren't really looking at each other as anyone deeper with deeper uh, feelings and stuff and layered feelings about the thing. But what we do have in this movie is Susan Sarandon's character is dying from cancer, and she's wanting to spend as much time with her children as possible, and she's looking. There's things that are getting overlooked because of this sad situation, but at the same time, because this sad situation is going on, doesn't mean that you treat the new step parent as they're a jerk or something, or like they don't, or what they're saying isn't valid or anything like that, and it causes issues, right? Because for Julia Roberts and Ned Harris's character in this, it's kind of like it puts a strain on that relationship because there's other people that are involved in this life, in this family, and you don't want to necessarily outwardly choose a girlfriend or the new wife over your kids in that sense, but at the same time, you have to kind of draw a line in the sand with the kids too, to where it's like like for me, I'm my son isn't my natural son for my body, but his mother, Noah's mother, was always, listen to him, and and I've been raising him since he was like 5. He's 18 and ready to graduate high school in a few weeks. So, you know, I helped him along those ways, and there were some days he didn't want to listen or whatever. That's kids, bro, though, in a general sense, and what your approach is matters a lot, okay? And so it deals with all these layered emotions, this movie, that I can certainly relate to. I'm not sure about other people who have watched this movie, but I'm sure this movie stayed pretty consistently popular in regards to family movies and movies that can show a better life of a blended family as opposed to the always wicked stepmother trope in movies, you know what I mean? Um, but we see some fun scenes though with Susan Sarandon's character with her kids. And then at some point, Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon's character do come to terms with each other because they had to basically sit down with each other. And Susan Sarandon's character basically was like, listen, you have all of the rest of their life. I only have now with them. And kind of putting out the reaching hand across the table, right? To say, I know that we have an agreement and all this other stuff, but can you at least acknowledge I don't have much time here and I'm just asking for some concessions, and then I'm not going to be here for much longer in some ways anyway to constantly deal with this, right? And so Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon eventually come to terms with each other and what that means in the new blended family life, okay? And as much as there was troubles throughout the movie and stuff, like one of the better scenes in this movie that I really feel like kind of captures the essence of this film is Susan Sarandon singing with her kids "Ain't No Mountain High Enough," because everyone knows what's coming, right, in the movie, the characters, but it's to show she's showing her kids show strength in the face of adversity, right? Ain't no mountain high enough. Man, you know what I mean? It's like it hits you in the gut emotionally in a good way and kind of puts things in perspective a lot. And I really think that this movie is a really good movie to watch with your family on days like Mother's Day. It came out at Christmas, so obviously around Christmas time too. It basically just deals with a blended family coming together in the face of adversity, in the face of death, to become not just a blended family, but just a family. You know what I mean? A family doesn't have to share your DNA. You know, you can't change the family that you were born into, but you can create the family you want as you get older, is kind of one of the points of this movie. And hey, listen, people are going to screw up, people are going to F up. There's going to be some days where you're like, what? why am I even bothering? But I feel like that loving someone means loving all of them, even the parts that they don't want to listen to you or take your advice or do things the way you do them. Loving people isn't liking what you like about them, but loving them in spite of the differences. That's where love really starts kicking in. Those differences that people have, can you overcome them, accept that person, and still be together in a loving, nurturing relationship? And that's harder than it sounds. You know what I mean? It's like, it's easier said than done in a lot of ways. And this movie shows some ways of dealing with that. Communication is key in a lot of different ways. And again, I think that this movie kind of touches a lot on these type of situations. And that's why I think it was a pioneer when this movie came out. I think that it came out at a time when a lot of these new blended families were coming together, right? And it showed some interesting, good ways to get around some of the apparent dysfunction and confrontation that will happen. Um, Definitely check this movie out. That's what I got for you today on this Mother's Day. Again, you're a mother lover. I'm a lover mother.